welcome to Multiverseatile. My name is Jake Long, and since we will be hearing from James Gunn and Peter Saffran next year about the first few movies for the DCU, I went ahead and came up with my own pretend Phase 1 presentation for the movie ideas that I have been working on for the DCU. While I don't want a DCU that is exactly like Marvel, I think that the DCU would benefit greatly from laying out their plans in phases like the MCU does, so that's what I've done. Let me know what things you think the DCU should do that are similar to the MCU, and which things they should avoid in the comments below. And while the MCU is struggling a little bit now, they are still in a very good place, and we know that Kevin Feige is making some changes to ensure that Phase 5 and 6 are better than Phase 4. Phase 4 still had a lot of good things going for it, and the MCU is still at the top as far as cinematic universes.
If you'll direct your attention to said screens.
I mean, we have Universal's Monsterverse.
And monsters. I saw her.
Turn that off. Take it off.
Valiant Comics.
And initiate sequence. No grave, immediate threat here.
The DCEU.
Martha! Why did you say that name?
And now the DCU is plotting their future. I know, the DCU is just the revamped version of the DCEU, but that was mostly just for fun. And that's enough of talking about the MCU.
Point is, you're welcome.
We're here for the DCU. And by the way, I actually do want those other cinematic universes to succeed because I like a lot of the source material and I like to see cool movies and I like to see people succeed. Or maybe that's just the Christmas spirit talking. Anyway, let's get into this DCU Phase 1. I present to you my first pick for the DCU Phase 1, and that is Superman, the Last Son of Krypton. In this movie, Superman plays the usual balance of reporter Clark Kent, who works with and is dating Lois Lane. He's been working at the Daily Planet a few years, and he's been Superman for a little bit longer. He has faced down at least two big threats like maybe Zod and Lex Luthor, and these could be referenced and allow us to avoid another Zod story since we already got a great one in Man of Steel. Now, based on what we've seen from James Gunn, it seems that Superman may not be quite this experienced, but I think and maybe mostly hope that this is what we'll be seeing. These next few parts I'm really not so sure about, but I would love to see these things happen. Superman is busy protecting the city, being with Lois, and studying the history of Krypton. He wants to know more about where he came from. However, his path of self-exploration is interrupted when he must use his investigative skills to find out who has been hiding bombs in toys. We all know that this is the Toyman, and he's not Superman's only threat in this movie. The alien bounty hunter Lobo shows up looking to capture the last son of Krypton. Of course, he would be played by Jason Momoa. We could have a brief appearance by Batman because his satellites would be the only ones that sense Lobo's ship. Of course, they would need to work in some sort of Batman fight scene as well, so I don't know if that will work. Anyway, Lobo has been sent by none other than Brainiac, who has taken over the Preserver's ship. In my previous Superman movie idea, I had the Preserver, but I figured I'd cut out the middleman. I was also inspired with this idea by reading the graphic novel World Against Superman. The first story in there is actually a pretty nice read, so it might not be a bad idea for the new movie to draw some inspiration from it. In the graphic novel, it is just referred to as Brainiac's collection, and maybe that's the way it was in the original comics. I'm not sure about that, but it just makes sense that Brainiac would have a collection of different species and shrunken down cities, and I think it would be nice and diabolical if he took the collection of species from the Preserver and then continued adding to the collection while hunting down any potential Kryptonian survivors. Now that Lobo has found Superman for him, Earth is at risk. Superman won't be alone though. John Henry Irons will help out in his absence, and Martian Manhunter comes to help him fight Brainiac. They bond over being the last of their kind. This could also set up a spin-off for Lobo that could be the space bounty hunter story that we deserve. Sorry, Boba, I really did root for you. And let's not leave out Lex Luthor. In this movie, I see him as more of a plotting bad guy, but he also helps Superman defeat Brainiac because he wants the world to himself. He's also working on perfecting his public image so that he can become president. The second movie on the slate is Green Lantern. Jon Stewart is still getting used to the superhero gig, having been Green Lantern for a few months when Hawkgirl comes from outer space to ask for his help. This will give us a chance to see the wonderful cosmic side of the DCU early on and introduce 2 future Justice League members just like the first movie does with Superman and Martian Manhunter. He could also come in contact with other Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan, and possibly Kyle Rayner. I don't have a lot of details for this one, but I do plan on ironing out the details of the premise in a future video. Thirdly, we have Wonder Woman. This is another one that I have to work on the premise for, but I'm really excited because I envision Wonder Woman interacting with several creatures and characters from Greek mythology. While Green Lantern introduces us to the cosmic world, Wonder Woman will introduce us to the majestic mythological fantasy world of the DCU. The first DCEU Wonder Woman movie was good, but I will be surprised if they keep it as canon, so for this new Wonder Woman, I would just imagine that her past is very similar to the events of that first Wonder Woman movie. I look forward to coming up for a premise for this movie as well for a future video. It could be something similar to the premise for the animated Justice Society movie on HBO. I still need to watch it, but it looks like Wonder Woman leads the team during World War II. The Justice Society could be long disbanded by now, and once the Justice League forms, there could be some confusion as to who the leader should be. For the 4th DCU movie, I have the one you have all been waiting for, or maybe just some of you, and that is Batman. It looks like people can't get enough of Batman. In the last 10 years, we have seen 3 different versions of Batman with 3 different actors. So I think a lot of us will be just fine with seeing a DCU Batman and the Matt Reeves Robert Pattinson Batman that is already in play, as long as they are both good. And Pattinson could have a 3rd movie by the time we get to see a DCU Batman. Also, I hope that we see some key differences. I think we should see a Batman in his late 20s, early 30s, who adopted Dick Grayson about 10 years prior, and Robin, Dick Grayson, has been fighting crime off and on for a few years, ever since he turned 18. I think that Batman needs to be at least that responsible. Now, I know that some of you may not want to see Robin and or Batgirl at all, but I think it can really work, and I want it to lead to Teen Titans and other storylines. Of course, this Robin is already an adult, so we may be looking at just Titans and drop the teen. In the Batman movie video that I made, the premise involves a team consisting of Batman, Robin, Batgirl, and of course Alfred, and they go up against Mr. Freeze and Firefly, not necessarily at the same time. An alternative story about them going up against Deathstroke could be very enjoyable as well, and maybe Ben Affleck would direct it. Either way, I still need to add a few more details for the premise in the Batman movie. For the 5th movie, we have the super speedster himself, the Flash. Again, more details to come with this one, but one idea that I have is to see Batman and Flash team up to solve the murder of Flash's mother. This may take away too much focus from Flash, so we'll see. It would end with an end credits scene that leads into the Justice League, which is the 6th and final movie of the DCU Phase 1. I don't yet have a premise for this one either, since my original Justice League movie idea won't work without the Snyderverse characters meeting the new DCU characters. So there you have it, my DCU Phase 1 lineup. As you can see, my Justice League team is based off of the Justice League animated series. I think that was a great team that has a variety of characters. With Jason Momoa likely becoming Lobo, I think they should put Aquaman on the shelf for now and introduce him in a later phase. And I think Cyborg is better fitted for Teen Titans later down the road as well. Also, I wanted to look at this pretend DCU Phase 1 in comparison to the MCU Phase 1. Also, I wanted to take one last look at the MCU because I want to look at this pretend DCU Phase 1 in comparison to the MCU Phase 1. So in the MCU, we have Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, and Avengers. In this DCU Phase 1, we have Superman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash, and Justice League. Maybe it's a mistake not to have a second Superman before Justice League, but I think a large part of the Justice League movie will be Superman learning to take a leadership role. All in all, I think it's a pretty good lineup that we have here. Anyway, that is all for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think of this lineup in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please click that like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more similar videos. Thanks for watching, and take care.